Well, the first recipe we're going to do from the wartime is called Lord Woolton Pie. Now, Lord Woolton was the Minister for Food. He was the one who successfully got Britain to accept food rationing. And in 1940, after he became the Minister, the head chef at the Savoy Hotel invented the Lord Woolton Pie, especially for him. And it's actually, basically, it's a vegetable pie. And the point about it is that it uses up homegrown vegetables. And what we've got in it, and there's a variety of ways of making it, but we're using a pound of cauliflower, a pound of Swedes, a pound of carrots, and a pound of potatoes. Now what we're doing is we're also going to add in an onion. Now during the war, onions were worth their weight in gold. Before 1939, Britain imported most of their onions from the continent, and obviously once war started it became impossible to import onions, so we were left as a country to trying to grow them ourselves. And that's again where allotments became really useful, because that's where most of Britain's onions were grown. And if you didn't have an allotment, the chances of being able to get an onion was quite difficult, or you paid a lot of money for it. In fact, there's records, some of the records show that onions were actually used as wedding presents, so they're obviously worth quite a bit. So we're going to use one of our onions from the allotment to make a Lord Woolton pie. The next ingredient is a tablespoonful of oatmeal, and then 1 teaspoonful of vegetable powder, and then add in some water. Now this water we used for boiling yesterday's potatoes, which we used for lunch today. So you don't want to put too much water in, perhaps we need a little bit more than that, but then we just boil these for about 15 minutes so that the vegetables are soft. But once the vegetables have softened through, you then need to add them to the pie dish. The final thing to add is some herbs, just to give it that little bit of extra taste. Now the recipes I've seen for the peerage show that people were tending to use parsley in this recipe. I'm going to put in instead some chives, some thyme and some rosemary, and we'll just sprinkle them in to the top of the dish. And finally we've got to add the topping, which is made from wholemeal pastry. Now wholemeal flour is very important in the Second World War. White flour was virtually unavailable, and at some point the government did actually ban the production of white flour. But we had a slight problem when I made this, because we actually ended up using 3 ounces of our cooking fats, and overall one person was only allowed, typically during the war, 4 ounces of cooking fat a week. So we're going to have to be very careful with the way that we use our cooking fat in future. This is the final product waiting to go into the oven. Looks a bit rough and ready, but here goes. Well, this is the moment of truth, my first wartime recipe, and here goes. It certainly smells good. And what we're going to do is put on a bit of gravy that we've made from a bit of the juice that was left over. There's a bit of vegetable stock, vegetable powder. Right, here we go. Oh, actually, it's very hot. Oh, But actually this has come out rather well, so I think we have a wartime success.